Good morning, comrades, and as promised, today we, Robert and I, are going to tell you more about the plans of our taxi F80 M3. But first, let me express my excitement that I'm finally allowed to film inside Tim Shermer's workplace. So, okay, for people who are new and for people who might have forgotten this car because it's been already off-season for a couple of months, this is an F80 M3 that last year we entered our fleet, taxi fleet, as a taxi car. It's not a stock car, it was already an M3 competition pack, but as you can see, it does not look stock at all. It has some aerodynamic upgrades, it has the wheels, brakes, suspension, etc., etc. But the most important thing is, like, when the car came here, we said we want to have something crazy, something like full cage and seats. And
yeah, it's actually not that often that you see a car like this. In fact, I've never seen a car that has 4 bucket seats and a full cage, etc. And what we wanted to do was create something. Really, what is the idea behind the Nordschleife? It's something that we all dream about going to, and something we dream about going fast on, and this and that and the other. And the direction of the taxi program really is going towards these big limousines and, you know, going slow in big cars and things like that. And that's not what I come to the Nürburgring for. Granted, they have fun. They're a blast to bounce around and float around in. And the M3 is right between that. It's between a big limousine and a race car. And now we wanted last year to basically build this thing as a true race car. But once we found out we got the taxi license, there wasn't enough time to build it. We jumped on it, bought the car, we did everything, and there wasn't enough time to put it together. And now we have that opportunity this winter to take the time and actually put together really what I would consider the taxi of my dreams to be if I was to go to the Nordschleife, a couple friends, family, whatever, and go for just an insane lap around the racetrack.
yeah, I'm absolutely excited about that. So the main upgrades are going to include basically the 4 bucket seats, full cage, and intercom system. So although the car is already pretty loud now, with different exhausts, it's going to be even more louder because you're going to take out all the interior components, unnecessary interior components, such as the door cards. We're still going to need like the
yeah, we're going to need some pockets. Maybe we'll get some like elastic bands to hold them in. Yeah, so basically what we have here, I'll go around and open up the other side as well. Why don't you come this way, Misha? It's a little bit lighter. So we have a lot of challenges with this build. If you just come to this side and you can see how low the driver's seat sits, and then how high the back passenger seats sit. So you can see that you've probably got a good 15 or so centimeters in height difference between the 2 seats, okay? And in addition to that, underneath the driver's seat, you have a floor, but underneath the back seat, you have a thinner pad, but you have a fuel tank underneath it. So we have a lot of challenges that we have to overcome. If I were to sit in the back seat, I'm about 6'2" or 189 centimeters. You see that I'm, you know, right here my head is very close to touching the headliner, okay? But when we go to a full cage situation, we not only have to consider that we need someone that's about my height to be able to sit back here, but they also need to have a helmet on because now we have a full cage. So a couple things that we're going to do with this build is we're no longer a 5-seater car. So we're going to be able to shift the center seats more towards the middle of the car, or the back seats, I should say, more towards the middle of the car. So this passenger should be able to sit more about right here so that your leg is just close to the tunnel and you have a little bit more headroom. And then, but you also have more room for your roll cage to go past your head on this side without any stress.
As well as the intercom system.
Yeah, so the intercom system, the plugs will be on the outside. So what we're going to do is a 4-way intercom system. The headliner comes out and you notice this car has the carbon roof. So all you have between you and the outside is literally a couple millimeters of carbon fiber. And that's going to bring a lot more noise and emotion. Between the seats, basically the entire back wall, the trunk panel is going to be taken out. So this car is going to be open all the way into the trunk, so you're going to get a lot more noise from the differential. The one thing about the M3 and the M4s are they are loaded with insulation.
Yes.
Not only talking about weight, but soundproofing is unbelievable. When all this sound comes out, you're going to actually hear the differential whining. It's going to be, you know, more similar to like what you heard in our M4 race car. So it's going to be very, very special sound. So with that, we need an intercom system. So we're going to have a 4-way intercom system. Every helmet will be plugged into it, and that'll go actually and record onto the Race Navigator.
Yeah.
So it should be pretty cool.
Absolutely.
From the front seat, we can talk a little bit about how the roll cage is going to work. In the front, it's going to be very similar to what you would expect on a normal, basically a normal race car setup with the roll cages with the door bars and the angled bars and everything. But when you get to the back seat, again, we have to have safety. We have to have everything supporting all of the harnesses, etc. But the passengers in the back need to be able to step in, right? So they need to step in over. So how we're going to do that is we're going to start in the front, and we're going to set it up. We know who our drivers are. I am the tallest driver, and Fabian is our biggest driver, right?
Yes.
Do I look like him? Hey, Tom. So we'll set this up to where, for example, I would be comfortable driving, and I would be happy to be driving right about here, okay? So this would be my driving position, and that will be the furthest that the seat goes back. We're going to build all of our bars for the roll bar to go through the dash, and they're going to come up with all the interior taken out and be tucked very tightly into the corners, right up to that carbon, basically roof and through. With these seats set where they need to be, we'll then come in the back, and we'll have a vertical bar that comes down right here, right against the pillar, and then our new seats will be thinner, okay? Because they're basically just a carbon shell. And then that harness bar will run right along the back of it, and that will be the bar that the driver's harnesses are attached to. Once this all comes out, the passenger can actually sit more towards the back. We'll have bars going across the top. We'll have either a V or an X on the roof up here, and then down through the back window, the standard angle bar as well.
So they can use actually the harness bar as well. It's just something to hold on to.
You're going to have a crossbar here.
Yeah.
Okay, and so you could actually get out by pulling your foot up and over, and then climbing out like that.
Okay.
So it's going to be a little bit more of a challenge to get in and out of, but the experience is going to be heightened tremendously.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very, that's probably one of the most exciting projects of the year for us in general, and cannot wait when it's going to be finished.
Well, basically the goal is to have it ready by TF. We're shooting for somewhere around 10 March as being drop dead that we need the car driving. The priority is doing it right, so the timeline is not so important. If we miss the first weekend with this car, I'm really not worried about it. But I believe our goal is really to have it done in February.
Yeah, yeah.
There are a lot of challenges. You know, there's a lot of challenges. We've already met with the appropriate people for the TÜV. We've met with, you know, basically anyone that needs to be involved to make sure that it works out, from the positioning of the seats, making sure the seat belts are safe, to what's our maximum height of passenger in the back. Really about, in the back seat, my height is going to be about the maximum. So somewhere around that 185 to 190 is going to be about the maximum size. If you're bigger, then we've got an extra large seat in the front.
Yeah.
So this car is really going to be about the experience. You know, this is truly going to be a race car. Weight is not so much of a concern. We know that we're going to take out 2 very heavy seats. We're going to take out carpet. We're going to take out flooring. We're going to take out all of the insulation, the back seats, all of the material in the trunk. Everything back here will come out.
Including our jackets?
Including our jackets. You've got carpet panels here. The weight adds up tremendously. But then all of a sudden, you weld in a roll cage, right? And you're putting in probably another 60 or 70 kilos back into the car via the roll cage, especially with the size of the car. So we're not expecting to drop too much weight, maybe 30 to 50 kilos, and that's about it. All of the door cards are coming off, and they'll go to carbon fiber, so there'll be substantial weight savings there, especially there's insulation inside that can come out and everything like that. But at the end of the day, the weight's not really the main thing. What we're going to do is this car's going to be very fast. It's going to be very, very fast. With these upgrades internally, the car's going to become stiffer, obviously. We've got some suspension stuff we're doing, just fine-tuning, getting it ready. But then again, we're also going from the 19-inch BBS down to an 18-inch BBS, and that's going to be really helpful for us. The cars generally handle better on the smaller tire, or smaller wheel and tire, and what we have here with this 19, this was a fantastic tire for us because it was a good all-around tire. We would get somewhere around 100 laps on this Michelin Pilot Sport 4S. It was great in the dry and in the wet. But now this car, we're going for a true race car feeling. We want something that's unbelievably quick. So we're going from a 265-19 in the front and a 295-19 in the back, and we're going to a 295-18 Nanking semi-slick on the front and a 315-18 Nanking semi-slick on the back. So our grip is going to be just substantially increased with this. So our drivers are going to be in the car with the cage, with everything. Our tire wheel combo is going to be greatly increased. We're doing a few more tricks, getting the setup just a little bit more aggressive. As you can see, our front splitter is off the car right now. We're doing some work on that. Just kind of going through and fine-tuning aero and updates and angle, just kind of tuning everything up just to make the car just fully optimized.
You know what I like the best about the whole thing? is that we are investing like a couple of tens of thousands of euros extra on it, but it's going to be the same price.
It is. We're not going to increase the price. This is kind of. I was thinking about it the other day. I was thinking, what are we doing? We should. Really, this car should go up to $299 to be on the same price as the McLaren, because the whole car is getting close to the same price as the McLaren. You know what I mean? If you really look at it, but you know, we want to stay in that market. We want to stay competitive. You know, I don't think that you can set this car next to any taxi and not think that it just looks unbelievable. And when you put the seats in it and everything that's done, it's just going to be absolutely insane. One cool thing that, for me, if we're talking about a race car and advertising a race car, one thing we are doing is all of the cage build and everything is to be compliant with the FIA and DMSB certifications. So at the end of the project, one of the things that we will do is certify the cage, so we could actually run the car in a certain racing series if we wanted to.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Now, that's so far here. We're going to go in a bit more in detail, because there is actually behind that door, there is a shell of an F80 M3 where also some cage is being installed. So we're going to show you more in detail. But first, there's another Apex car here, which is RM4. And did someone have a crash?
No, this is actually quite exciting. I mentioned last year that we were going to do a Schirmer build or Schirmer setup on one of our rental cars. And we were talking about a Polo, and we said, you know, not a Polo, but a Golf, I think.
No, we're talking about
was it a Polo? Yeah. And then the more I thought about it, I said, you know, well, what does Team Schirmer do really? They specialize in BMW, even though they have a Mercedes sitting down there for some reason, I don't know. But they're Tom Stamp sitting next to it. Yeah. But the idea came about when we said, well, they really specialize more in the BMWs, and that's what they're known for. And you, as a customer, if you know Schirmer, you want to drive one of their cars, right? So what we're doing with this car right now is little updates. We've updated the interior with a new Alcantara steering wheel.
That's an amazing part. That's such an increasement in everything.
Just the look of it, and then the feel and everything. It's really a nice feel.
The lighting is not too good, but if you've seen older vlogs, you know that it looks like the car didn't go through Nordschleife, but through McDrive all the time.
But what we're doing now is the same wing that we had on the M3 taxi is going on here. The same exact front splitter that we had on the M3 taxi is actually going on. So this is all disassembled right now for the installation of the splitters and the wings. And then Tom will start this week on the setup of it. So it's going to be completely set up by them, everything adjusted and dialed in by them, their aerodynamic parts. And at this point, you'll be able to drive a car that was set up by Team Schirmer and rented from us.
Yeah. Okay, and for that you can find the contact details in the description of this video. If the video gets released in time, there's a special offer before the end of January.
What's the date today?
Today.
26th, 27th?
Yeah, I think it's not gonna. Yeah.
If you want to rent this, we'll give you still the 15% discount. How about that?
Yeah, within 2 videos, within two weeks.
2 weeks, give it 2 weeks. Give it 15, give it till around 15 February, and you guys could still.
15 February.
But this car, the same thing. We've actually made the M2 and the M4 the same price, and the exact same thing. This is getting all these upgrades, a substantial amount of money put into it, from suspension setup to aerodynamics, you know, et cetera. And we're not going to increase the price of it either. So this car still falls under the Porsche 718 price, but it's the same exact price. So
actually, if you compare, prices went down in comparison to last year.
Yeah, the prices went down. So this went down and the quality went up. So it should be pretty exciting.
Yeah, okay, excited for that. But now let's go and check out what's going to happen to this more in detail.
Yeah, so what we have here is basically an F80 shell. In fact, our car will be taken down to this status right here.
Also the engine out and everything?
Not the engine out, but the interior status. So you'll see the interior of our car looking like this. Misha's going to be able to come by and actually take a couple photos and videos of it along the way. But basically, we're going to take the car down to this interior status. And it just gets you an idea of how tight the packaging needs to be. We're going to have to look that all of our bars and everything you see right here, the roll bar is actually higher than the top of the shell, okay? So this is how compact everything's going to have to be, and in the back even more so. You see, basically, we're still keeping all of these clearances up in the top. Can you see that, Misha?
Yeah.
This is going to have to continue all the way back at the very top and follow just above the glass. So when you look at the glass, everything's going to have to ride right along here and then go through the trunk lid, the trunk deck, all right? So that's very important that we stay up high so that the customer has room inside the car. A big problem that we have is right here, okay? So if you come to the inside and the front, you can probably see it better. this is where I'm talking about how much higher this back seat is, and you see the angle that it's on, okay? What we have to do is we're gonna actually have to modify this tray right here and build basically a panel or a recess that our race seats can sit down into. This is the area where the fuel tank is. So what we have to do with the fuel tank in the car is exactly measure, or what Tom Schirmer and Carl have to do, is measure exactly how much room they have. Right now it's about 3.5 centimeters, and they have to cut this all out and basically make a new tray where the seat will sit down into. These back seats will not be adjustable. They'll basically be bolted right down to this new panel that they're going to make, this new tray, and sit literally like 0.5 centimeter off of the floor. And that's how they're going to make that happen. So everything's going to be fixed in place based on this new tray. That's probably one of the biggest pieces of challenge that has to be done here.
Yeah.
But should be very, very cool.
Yeah.
Again, everything will be open all the way to the trunk. This parcel lid will be reduced so that the cage can come through. Here you see how the crossbars and everything are further in. Everything's going to have to just barely be underneath the window.
Mm-hmm. Excited.
Yeah, so in all, it's going to be a very complex project, but a very fun project, and something that I think at the end will be quite the rewarding package, you know, for us to operate, and for anybody that gets in. It's going to be pretty. That's going to be pretty cool. Like I said, I've seen cars with 4 bucket seats. What was that? A Mercedes that they had a.
Yeah, it was the.
I can't remember what it was now.
Yeah, no, it did not have the rear bucket seats. I think it had a full cage, but the rear was still.
Still a bench, huh?
Yeah, I think they have a 4 bucket seats drift taxi or Falcon drift team or something, but I don't know. That's something told me once in the comments.
Yeah. So the reality is what's being done here isn't, you know, and I've never seen it. If they have a drift taxi, the one thing that this car is going to have is it's street legal. We actually are going to have TÜV paperwork on it. This car is something that you can drive on the street. It's perfectly legal to drive in TF, and it's registered as a taxi for the road, and we're able to take customers in it. So it's going to be a very, very unique build, a very one-of-a-kind build. And yeah, it turned the F80 into something that I saw as a tool. I saw it as something that we would have for the company for a couple of years. And once it's done doing its service as taxi, I can just about guarantee I'll keep that car as part of the Team Schirmer, you know, M collection, yeah. So it'll be, I thought I was only going to have 5, but it looks like I've already have the 6th. So.
And you may have seen another car of the collection in the background of this video somewhere. But for everything that and more updates on the car, you know, stay tuned, subscribe, like, share. Most importantly, book a taxi lap because, well, this is, I'm pretty sure it's going to be get very fast. We are usually running full 2 weeks in advance, I would say.
Yeah, we are. We're running pretty well in advance. There's some, you know, we do a lot of walk-in sales, but those aren't, you know, guaranteed how those work out, especially on weeknights. But yeah, if you think you'd want to ride in this, you're definitely going to want to book it because we're also, a big goal for this year is quality and consistency, and we're not worried about packing laps in. So a big goal for us is to be efficient and, you know, basically have pre-bookings and have everything set up to where it's not chaotic. So I would definitely recommend getting in advance and, you know, basically picking your seat.
Yeah, because we will be actually only able to run less amount of laps because people need longer time to get in, to strap themselves in, and still doing at the same price and adding more investments. I don't know, this guy's a very bad businessman.
Undoubtedly.
Well, if you have any additional questions about the build for next video, let us know, and see you next time. Bye-bye.